Good evening and welcome to Ek Samvaad at Aruni Mankuran. Today we are in conversation with a school principal, Mrs Uma Shyam. She's the principal at St. John's School, Abu Road. And the interesting thing is that she is a school friend. We studied in the same school so many decades, I can say now, ago. Thank you for joining us today, Uma.
Thank you, Pragya.
A few words about Aruni Mankuran, an initiative for positive social change through self-development. The goal of Aruni Mankuran is greater well-being and happiness for all through self-development. Each person is unique and special in some way. Each one of us can make a difference. Each one of us can be a change maker. And I'm so privileged to have Uma here. She's a principal. She's changing lives. And she's an educator who has been taking various initiatives in her own institution. So we get to know a little bit about that also from Uma. A little bit about Uma. She did her schooling from Sophia School, Mount Abu, MSc Zoology from Kerala University, and B.Ed from Gujarat University. Uma is a seasoned educator with over 23 years of experience in the field of education. She started her teaching career with Sophia High School in Mount Abu as a science teacher in 1993. She has nurtured the growth of St. John's School from its formative year 1998 and has been the principal ever since. She is the recipient of appreciation awards from various organizations. She enjoys reading, music, traveling, art, and craft. Some of the talking points in today's Ek Samvaad: her journey as an educator, her leadership style, role of teacher training in empowering teachers, how Uma looks at it, how she's been leading post the crisis, what are some of the innovative initiatives that have been adopted to create a positive and challenging learning environment, challenges of online classrooms, the role of parents, then a few promising practices, best practices from the IPN, that is Indian Principals Network, of which Uma is a part. They had a Voyage 2020 for educators, so we'll ask her to share some of her insights from there and some tips for students to enhance and optimize online learning. Once again, Uma, thank you so much for being on Ek Samvaad today.
Thank you, Pragya.
Most welcome. It is indeed a pleasure and privilege to have you here today.
Same here.
Uma, let's start off with your journey as an educator. And when you look at your own leadership style, how do you see yourself as a leader? What is your leadership style?
Okay. Um, well, as an educator, I think it was in my genes right from the start itself, because my dad was very well into teaching the students of the boarding. And somewhere after having done my 12th, I I felt that I should be joining the teaching profession. It was basically inspiration which came across from one of the teachers during my classroom sessions, where she brought to light the fact that getting and into this profession, the benefits of getting into the profession is by and large getting so much in return of love, affection, gratitude from all the students, and the joy of teaching is unbound.
Hmm.
So it was one which hooked me on to join the profession. So
Hmm.
having completed my graduation and my post graduation, and having settled down with the family, I got the opportunity to teach in my own home school from where I would have studied. and I joined in as a primary school teacher. And it
Mhm.
was a 1 year teaching experience at that school, which gave me all the backup that was required, all the confidence that was required to start up with the school and to lead the school. So they
Wonderful.
ended up being the school leader, and I've come so far.
Wow. And when you see yourself as a leader, what is your leadership style? Are you a democratic kind of leader? How do you, operate in your setup now?
Uh, Coming on to working as a school leader, the first thing I make very clear is I would like to be always accessible. Uh, we are for the children, and the school leader must be available to the entire school community to be there for all the major decisions, to take the responsibility for all the good as well as bad. So, to have the confidence of the as well as to live up to the trust of everyone who have entrusted their dear lives and as well as the entire well-being of their uh, child with us. So I strongly believe that it is the accessibility that should be there for being to take the lead.
Okay. Wow. Okay, now let's see. Uma, there is a component of qualities and skills in teachers, right? So let's talk a little bit about that. Some of the essentials that you think every teacher should have these qualities, and also the role of teacher training. What is the role of training, as well as what are the qualities?
Okay, initially the teacher should be passionate about teaching,
Hmm.
should have good knowledge of the subject to which they are looking forward to teach, and should probably be given the subject which they would have equipped themselves throughout all their years of studies. It doesn't mean that a teacher who would have graduated in literature takes up science at one point of time. Yes, and then it requires that the teacher must be well versed with all with the technologies that is most required at that point of time, and particularly with the new setup and the new generation which they are teaching, because ultimately it is the new generation which is going to lead the country, which is going to carry our nation forward.
Hmm.
So you cannot teach them on the layouts what the teacher would have learned during the initial years of its study, but should keep up with technology and time, as well as update themselves with what's new, and pass it on to the learners. So that's why I strongly believe that every teacher must have all the must be open as well as grab the opportunity for any form of learning across any platform. So
Right.
now there's a big explosion of learning taking place with n number of webinars, and the teacher can definitely attend it all sitting at the relaxed space of their home. Where
Hmm.
in COVID, we would have to move to different areas and spaces, spend time in commuting as well as in staying out. But now at the space of your own comfort of your home, you can learn n number of things. So I believe that the teacher must equip themselves with technology as well as learn whatever is available so that they make future learning as well as the current learning more enjoyable for the new gen.
Wow. So there is a very important role for training, because as you identify training needs, like for example, in this particular time,
Yes.
technology became a must know, and there were a few teachers who didn't feel so comfortable with learning. But uh, as an educator, as a leader, what were some of the initiatives that you took, some of the interventions that were put to work in your institution, so that this transition from regular classroom learning to online learning was smooth?
Initially, I made it very particular that every teacher who would have joined the school along at any stage would have had the basic knowledge of using the computers.
Hmm.
Thereafter, almost every faculty of mine had their in possession their own personal laptop or a computer of their own. We had introduced the e-learning concept also at our school some around 12 to 13 years back.
Hmm.
So they had become well equipped with not only with their own computer system but also with the e-learning technology also. So when it came, the COVID times came, I believe my teachers were quite prepared to
Wow.
take the jump and
Hmm.
proceed with the process of teaching. Although the thing which would have been missing would have been the true live interaction with the students. It all came onto a virtual platform. But yes, they all could effectively manage it out because I had also created a group among with my teachers so that we could communicate all the practices of teaching on by the way they would be teaching. We used to communicate it to one another through our videos as well as give appreciation also so that the ones every posting which would have been done would always be well appreciated by the entire team, so that would always
Hmm.
be a to the teacher who who is who would be a little bit apprehensive of conducting a class online. So I think that appreciation also played a good role for every teacher to take the lead and to proceed with the classes. So now almost every one of them are perfectly much equipped and more confident with the process of teaching.
Right. So that is what leadership is all about. Looking at the future, even while you were recruiting your teachers, during the course of that, you were aware of the need for technology, which is going to play a part in education. And increasingly so, even in the future, I think, this has come to stay. There will always be a blend of online education and regular classrooms. Is there something
Yes.
that you're looking at doing now if schools reopen? Is there some kind of strategy you're trying to put in place?
Well, if schools were to open now, we need to be prepared for taking, first considering the safety of every individual, be it the
Hmm.
teacher,
Hmm.
be it the student. So, considering the safety of the student as well as the teacher, definitely we would look forward to open up the spaces of school and look forward to making the understanding of a safe learning as well as an enjoyable learning, but maybe in a different pattern,
Hmm.
maybe lesser number of students in the class, or maybe with much more of synchronous type of learning as well as online learning. So we keep them totally engaged with the process of learning.
Is there some kind of a feedback mechanism which is at work in your institution so that you can have like maybe a brainstorming session or something in which everyone can pool in their ideas? Is there something like that happening?
Well, uh, feedbacks do come in. Feedbacks do come in from all aspects. Yes, if we are open, like if the teacher is also getting a feedback, be it a positive or a negative, they do feel free to communicate it to me.
Hmm.
So look on to the different aspects of it. And the larger perspective, we should see that the benefit should always fall the child, the child who needs it. At this current time, it's the child who needs all the support from the school.
Right.
So we try our level best to receive all the feedback and then try to work on it.
All
With the scenario in picture, we try to work on it. So
right.
far it's so good. Yes.
So when you look at some of the challenges of online teaching, I've been talking to different educators in the recent times, and there are so many challenges that come up, when you're trying to connect to children online. Are there some initiatives or some strategies that your school has in particular adopted so that you can ease out those?
Yes. See, initially, we would have, in the initial time of having started the sending, the teaching process, we had started with an asynchronous type of teaching, whereupon the teachers had to equip the children since we were moving into a fresh academic, a totally new academic term. So it was our responsibility to see that all the students as well as the teachers have been well equipped and we've been provided or would have got access to the uh, content or in the textual format. And if it was not available also, we were trying to be provided them with the PDF forms of the text matter for whosoever child would not have received it. And we even made it took it as our responsibility to reach out to the children with the books through the courier services so that the children also could manage with the books. So once the books would have reached home, the child had the book, hard copy of the book in hand, or would, if they would have had the PDF in hand, they could open up to the lesson. They were available to get ready for the lesson. The teacher would keep them informed about the lesson which is coming up. They would send across their recorded videos, and thereafter we opened up for taking. After having sent across the lessons, we open up for an online class, whereupon after the child would have seen the videos of what the explanation of which has been given by the teacher, the child is then available, the teacher is available to answer to any queries or to further explain to the students and to clear the doubts on the ground. So it's now in process. I think somewhere it's a big responsibility of the teacher to make the learning, the continuous learning, to be very enjoyable. It should
Hmm.
not be bad. It should be enjoyable. It should be innovative. It should change from time to time, and the student should always have an should have the inking of linking back to the link and getting more information, or to log in and to know what is new now, what is upcoming. So it's a big huge responsibility to see that the learning is always enjoyable, particularly as the students are alone or mainly at home, since they would be alone, and they need something to keep them uh, productively occupied.
Yes, very important what you said, productively occupied, because being occupied is quite one thing, and productively occupied, I like the emphasis, Uma. Since we
Yes,
are still talking about students, how about if you share some tips so that students can stay, like you said, productive, and
yes,
how they can also enhance online learning, what is the role the students can play right now?
yeah. See, basically, every student must be encouraged, or they should be motivated and guided how to frame out their entire day working. And they should plan out the day working if they are having their online classes. And particularly, they must make it a point to have fixed timing for their learnings, not to fluctuate from different time zones, and so
Hmm.
that they have a particular fixed timing for to at least to attend to the classes so they get a grasp, as well as to do it on a regular basis, not to try to sum it up all at one go. They
Hmm.
try to do it on a regular basis, as well as the students also must have that confidence as well as that bonding with the teacher to communicate to the teacher, so that once that bonding has been established, they can always communicate with the teacher and open up to clear up whatever doubts they would be having in the process of learning. Once that is done, I think a larger part of the aspect of learning is done. And then, yes, the child must also keep himself up. It's not necessary now, since most of the children are all bottled up at home, and because of the fear of the sickness which is around, parents also would not be um, uh, willing enough to send them across their boundaries of the safe boundaries of home. But there should be some activity that keeps the child occupied. They can have some hobby classes, and now everything, since it's going online, so they have fitness classes online, they have reading clubs online, and they have art classes online. So that keeps them occupied, so that in a bigger way the child always has uh, a way or a stream to vent out whatever energy which is in them to other spaces. Although the team activities like
Hmm.
their games for which they would have been interested in are not no longer possible, but still they can look for spaces in other fields and to at least gain some information or knowledge. And this is the best time for the students to learn several other things also. Now there with these situations of COVID come over, there have been innumerable opportunities where the children can learn n number of things for which they are interested in, not only in their professional careers ahead, but also for their self growth.
Hmm.
So they should look for, and I suppose the parents can also guide them and help them, so that at a point of time the child is occupied also, and there is something which is going on for which they may not be too worried or concerned that they may move out of space and they may move into areas of the uncensored areas of zones of which already the internet is. But
Hmm.
definitely, if they are logged on to certain classes, or and there are so many courses available online, and once we start exploring we'll get to know if they have an interest in photography. Well, we learn they have so many classes and so many courses which are going on, which
Hmm.
may need 30 hours or may need 40 hours. There can be art, it can be even science, it can be they can learn experiments, they can learn even communication, language, learn different forms of languages. Because if the situation is going to prevail for a longer time, you will look out for even more people to gather information. So if you're learning more of languages, definitely you will improve and enhance yourself, and that will going to in a larger way help you out in a longer way. So I suggest the children should make good use of this time. This time is not going to come back again,
Hmm.
where you'll have all the yourself and the gadgets.
Hmm.
So making use of gadgets and time, I
Yes.
think all of us can do so, is to learn and become better.
Yes, I think that is learning and becoming better are so tied up together. You know, the more you learn, the more you grow, and those opportunities are always there for all of us, like you rightly said. Uh, so, Uma, you have also been part of the IPN, that is the Indian Principals Network, and they had a very interesting session some months back, I think in June, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So, can you talk to us about some of the best practices or some of the best takeaways that you came away with from there?
The IPN network, the founder of whom is Gaurava Yadav, has been a network of principals all across the globe, where we come across and we get to know about different people, their ideas, their concepts of teaching. And it ranges from high-end, top-end schools to small town schools.
Hmm.
So there is a wide range of principles, and there is a lot of interaction which takes place. And there are a lot of takeaways, and there is also a lot of offers where IPN offer gets people like big companies like Acer, Practically. These are all big companies which give offers to the schools to help on with their online teaching also. So in the
Wonderful.
form fitness also, they put team in a good team of dedicated professionals who later on guide and are available for interaction with the particular team. And in the same way, not only that, even they have provided with motivators on
Hmm.
the team. So there have been motivators, out of which one motivator I was highly impressed and have been following as well as practicing in my own school is I have started a super positivity club for
Hmm.
which whereupon Vikrant Mahajan is the person who has started up with the club and
Hmm.
who currently the coach, the motivational coach for the wrestling team of India. And so the way in which he has helped us conduct the club club at the school level for the teachers, I have been really impressed to see that in this depressing times where
Hmm.
everyone is distressed and worried
Hmm.
and are almost out of mind, this type of club activities through which we have been involved, it brings out us to look for something good, look out for something positive, not only in our own, we look out for it in our own self, we look
Hmm.
out for it in society, and then again expand it to the world as well as all across. So as well as we share our thoughts, and it brings about a big learning. In the process, everyone shares their happenings, their good happenings. And when we have would have concluded with a meeting, we are already enhanced and have a positive feel over it.
Hmm.
That's one good thing which has taken place. And then there has been also, there would be now coming up would be some career counseling for the children. Now when in the pre-COVID times, the students the schools would organize for certain university teams to come up to schools and to guide and to coach them on their career. And if you would have observed that the entire academic year moves on, and the
Hmm.
students probably in the 11th and 12th are missing out on the opportunity to know more about their for future careers. So
Hmm.
now IP provides us with the facility of getting and pulling in all the career guidance onto one platform for the respective schools,
Wow.
so that
Hmm.
on a particular day when I plan to have a meeting for organize a seminar, I will have all my students who are of the particular class groups, as well as all the leading coordinators from the different universities and prestigious universities, who will thereafter guide as well as tell the students about the career opportunities that are available. And probably the career opportunities which are available will be to the post-COVID times. So there is a little changeover in the career options which are now going to be explored as well
Hmm.
as available. So it is IPN which has been a provider, and I'm grateful that had it not been for IPN, maybe this opportunity would I would have to look on for opportunity 1:1. Like getting a team from one university, and then I pull in all my students, and then I get a team from another university, I look for another one, and then I get in my students. Instead of getting multiple universities at different point of time, I get all of them at one point of time. So much more than that, I believe IPN is doing and is continuing to do the good job of bringing team leaders together and working through, so that we can always hope for a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes. And as you speak, Uma, I was just thinking about, how the team thing stands for together, everyone achieves more. So here's more power to all the educators who are collaborating and working together. And it's a wonderful lesson for other professionals also, to share best practices, to pool ideas and resources and share them for the larger good. So,
Definitely
yeah.
goes a lot, and in a larger way, because we are connected also on the WhatsApp group also, as
Mhm.
well as connected on the virtual platform also. So all the messages do come in. So
Hmm.
whatever happenings are there, everyone is communicating, sharing, appreciating, forwarding. So there is always learning which is going on, and which is most required at this point of time.
Right. So, there is a silver lining in every dark cloud. And as I've been talking to different people, I realized that certain things would probably have taken longer to happen, or they may not even have happened in this time frame had it not been for this pandemic. So, not to say that the pandemic is a welcome thing, but the idea that we are a resilient people and, we have thought of innovative ways to cope with the challenge. It's wonderful. It was so nice talking to you, Uma. Thank you so much. And more success to your leadership and keep shining. And
Thank you.
also the fact that we are from the same school, it gives me so much pride to see the great work you're doing. So, all the best, Uma. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Thank you.